Hey everybody. I thought I would participate in the YouTube Pagan challenge even though I'm like 5 months late. But I'll try and catch up as fast as I can. So I'll start with week 1. How did you find your path? I talked about this a little bit in my very first video. Actually, maybe a little bit. But things have changed and I've gotten a new perspective. So I'll talk a little bit more about it. So as I said in my first video, how I got introduced to Wicca, sort of, was I was watching a documentary. It was from a documentary series. It was on Netflix. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. This was in the summer 2012. It was a documentary series from A&E called Ancient Mysteries, and this one was about witches. And they talked about Wicca very briefly at the end. It was very general. Of course, it didn't really go into the very specifics of it, and I thought, like, that kind of sounds interesting. I was atheist at the time, so I thought, like, I'll look into it. Not as an intention to think like, oh, that's going to be like a new spiritual path for me. It was like curiosity. So I went to the library and I picked up Wicca Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. And the thing is I knew about Wicca beforehand, but I didn't really know exactly what it was. I remember very clearly my friends in high school were looking through To Ride a Silver Broomstick, and I remember the cover, the pretty witch on the broomstick. And from what I gathered, I knew it was pagan, but I thought it was like Celtic or Greek. I think I remember it being specifically Greek, that those were the gods they were worshiping. And I knew it had to do with witchcraft. And that's really all I knew. I started reading Scott Cunningham's book. When I started reading about the deities, the god and the goddess, I was like, whoa, I never thought of this before. This is new. This is interesting. So, he was describing the god and the goddess as being these two different gods that weren't opposed. They were actually lovers. And, whoa, that's really different. That's different than anything that I've ever heard of. I thought that, religion was either one god or many gods. I thought all religions in modern era were just one God centered. I didn't know a lot about other religions anyway, so it was like, I like this. I like this idea because it kind of, I like the concept of two. The concept of two and duality kind of balances things out to me and creates that sense of oneness. And, the sense of oneness is something like a lot of people want to experience in a spiritual way, and I thought two gods kind of accomplished that really well. Then moving on, talked about the Wheel of the Year, and I thought that was beautiful concept. And I love holidays. And then it started talking about nature, and I love nature, and I got this, most people love nature really. But I'm a little more, my family thought of me as a tree hugger type person, and I loved animals. Nature was special to me, so I liked that too. When it got to magic, I didn't really like that. I was very, very critical. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? This is ridiculous. When I was done with the book, I decided Wiccans were just people who lost control of their lives, and they just go into these delusions like they're assuming control through magic, and then they don't even actually solve their problems or whatever. And I don't know, maybe some Wiccans are like that, but by and large, from what I've seen from like you guys on YouTube and just a lot of other Wiccans, that doesn't seem to be the case at all. I was wrong about that. And even though I was just completely denouncing it, I guess I was still stuck on the whole nature connected thing and the idea of gods and goddesses. So I thought, oh, I'll look into neo-paganism. And so it never really went away. As time went on, I just kept studying more and more. And, I would be all snarky about it, like, oh, this is for which to laugh. As more and more I got into it, I was like, okay, I'm kind of seeing it. What really was the pinnacle of when I thought, like, I could possibly take this seriously is when I read Vivian Crowley's Principles of Wicca. And I think that worked for me really well because Vivian Crowley's she's a psychologist, and she's a Jungian psychologist, and Carl Jung puts a lot of spirituality into his study of psychology. So she looked at the god and goddess as being archetypes, something that comes from, the psyche, and it's something that can be communicated with and invoked and things like that. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'm feeling this. As an atheist, that was something that was comfortable to me. So it was kind of like an in, so to speak. I was feeling it. And then just time went on, I started like checking out more books and reading more things. And I was getting these plethora of ideas, and I was just getting more and more confused, honestly, because there was just these like different thoughts, and seeing all these different sources on YouTube or on blogs on the internet, that kind of thing, and then books and all this different stuff. I was like, gosh, what's going on? And I just wanted to know more and more and more. And I just got totally enveloped in it. And when I say totally enveloped in it, it was more of, I was becoming more serious about it. I wasn't like, gung-ho, ready to be a witch or anything like that. I was just studying without even thinking about I wasn't even thinking about my path, basically. And I wasn't thinking about what the future held. I would kind of think sometimes like, oh my gosh, what if this is right for me? What if I became a Wiccan? What would that mean? Some people are worried more about the persecution of being a witch. I was more worried about being teased, because that's kind of how I thought of Wiccans. I thought of them kind of as being like, someone to laugh at. So I thought that that's what would happen to me, that people would take me less seriously. And that's actually a topic I'd like to bring up in another video. But it came to be that as I was reading a lot of things, I was seeing all this information of like, can't just read and read and read, you gotta do stuff. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I'm kind of feeling it, like I'm ready to experience the practice. Maybe I'm delve into it. And it was just little bits at a time, just little tastes, just to see how it felt. And that just kind of grew and grew and grew. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of discomfort, especially when it came to any kind of communion with the gods. And it was weird for me. It's completely in the realm, God did not exist when I was an atheist. So it was really difficult to me, especially to try and commune with gods that I never acknowledged and only learned about, I guess maybe it was like maybe a year and a half at that time. So it was tough. And some people say, if you don't feel right with it, just move on. I didn't agree with that. And it wasn't in the realm of like thinking, well, I want to be a witch, I want to be a Wiccan. It wasn't that. It was, I think this is something that I need. And I really can't give you a reason why. Turns out I was right. I don't know if it was intuition or something like that, this could possibly improve me in some way. It really has. Maybe I'll make another video about that. I still challenge myself. I still do rituals when I don't feel like it. And, try and assume these different things where I can, be more enveloped into my practice and fulfill my spirituality more. So where I'm at now in my path is, even after, 4 years from the very start, I'm just now really honestly trying to commune with the god and the goddess. I know that sounds weird, but that's where I'm at right now. Maybe it's quick for some, slow for others. I wasn't a coming home type person. A lot of Wiccans say, oh, it was coming home. It was something like that, I felt all my life and that finally matched me. Like, no, Wicca was totally new to me. The whole concept was just totally new. But, I liked it. It was special to me. And I felt like it was something that would just be good for me. And like I said, it was. But yeah, it took effort. It really took effort to study, to like read all these books. I am not a big reader. I really am not a big reader, and sometimes reading is really difficult for me. So to read that many books was like a huge challenge, but I was gung-ho. I wanted to learn about this stuff. I just wanted to get a good basis. I wanted to know all there is to know. And then I started to build my practice, and things are good right now. I feel very solid in my path right now. I've had trip-ups where it was just like, I'm not feeling it. And then times where it's like, oh, gung-ho. And I'm probably going to have a time in the future I'm like, nah. and then a time where it's going to be gung-ho, you know? I think I've seen a lot of Wiccans and witches and pagans have that problem, particularly if they're solitary, so that makes sense. That's where I'm at with my path. Thanks for watching, and blessed be.